How to create wealth. I feel this is the $1 million question here. And the path to financial freedom is different for everyone. But there is a blueprint to income creation that you can follow to make smarter financial decisions. Hello, bonjour, salam alaikum, and welcome to Stand Out from the Crowd, the first live no BS podcast about leadership. So if you like us, tell your friends and colleagues to go over on Apple Podcast and Spotify to give us a 5-star review because I think we are worth it, don't you? Our stand-up guest, Eszter Sibok, is a professional real estate investor, an author, a mentor, and wait a minute, are you ready for this one? She is a four times best-selling author. So join us as she shares how she created wealth for herself as an immigrant woman in Canada and how you can do the same. Hello, Esther. How are you doing?
Hi, Darine. Good afternoon. I'm fantastic today. How are you doing?
This is a beautiful day to be happy today because it's
Yes.
International Women's Day. So happy International Women's Day to you, Esther, and to all the women watching us, listening to us, paving the way for other women to empower themselves. Today's topic is very particular and close to my heart because we know the complicated relationships that there is between money and women, or at least for most women, and not all of the women, fortunately for us. Do you have any idea where this gap between woman, money, what does it make us feel? Or make us a lot of women feel uncomfortable to talk about it, to handle it, and to make better decision.
Yes. So happy International Women's Day to everybody, of course. And yes, there's a lot of talks about relationship with money, not just for women, but for everybody. And not too long ago, about 60, 70 years ago, women were not able to hold their own mortgages, right? So they needed to have a man on title, and then they would be able to have ownership, right? So we've come a long way. Um, from that era to now, where actually most of the properties are owned by women. Well, the percentage is about 51%.
Ooh.
Yeah, so we've come a long way, and I'm so proud of us. And yes, it comes down to the relationship with money. So everybody has different kind of concept with the money. I'm from an Eastern European background. I'm in Canada for about 25 years now, and when I came to Canada, my relationship with money was quite different. Right back home, we didn't have a lot of opportunities, and when I came to Canada, I realized, wow, this is fantastic. I can have ownership. I can have investments. I can spread my money around and really have that abundant lifestyle that we crave for and we hope for.
So you said something when you came to Canada, your relationship with money was different because you didn't have those opportunities back home. And I feel you touched point on something that is very well known, especially among immigrant women, is the relationship with money. Since we are coming to this country with a different background, right, a different education system and a different relationship with money, here we realize that money is accessible and that there is an abundance of money. And I want to say it again, an abundance of money. And so how was your education journey coming from, oh, I don't handle money because I didn't have opportunities to do so, to being, hey, I have access to unlimited money. How do I go about it? Like, how was the transition?
It was very early for me. It's a fantastic story, very inspiring to many. So we landed at the airport to Canada on a Thursday, and just next Monday coming up, we went to school. So I barely spoke English, but when they took us to the principal's office to choose our courses, and I said, wow, I can choose my courses. This is fantastic. What else can I choose, right? So right then, from the beginning, I was always seeking for an opportunity, right? And then I finished my school, And then one of the greatest stories that I have, after I finished university, I went to the bank and I said, "Okay, I'm ready to get that mortgage, right?" And I got turned down big
Oh,
time. They only wanted to give me a small amount of money that was not even enough for anything at that time, right? So, I was upset and sad for about 48 hours, but then I got back up and I started asking questions, and how I can do that. What do I need to do to get to a place where I can actually purchase by myself? So I started connecting with people who are where I wanted to be, and just asking a lot of questions and how they got to where they are now, and what is really the strategy that I need to use in order for me to be a homeowner, right? Because this was my ultimate sort of path and goal to start that.
so home ownership, and we're gonna talk a little bit more in details later about how real estate can be one way to create wealth. Now we hear it a lot, and I feel like sometimes it's a buzzword. It has been trending for the past few years, talking about financial freedom, achieve financial freedom. Like your ultimate objective should be financial freedom, which I agree with. Like,
Yeah.
but what do you define as financial freedom?
It's a great question, Doreen. It really depends on what it is that you want to achieve for yourself, right? So financial freedom for some people could be taking those vacations that they wanted, or taking some time off, spend more time with family, or do different things, or focus on another business, or on a side gig, right? So it really depends what your goal is, and once you determine that goal, that is the driving force to sort of um, be smarter with your money, right? And there are different strategies that you can use. Another point to mention here, that a lot of us are entrepreneurs in Canada, right? Which is fantastic. But this is why it's so important to have this conversation and think about your relationship with money, because when you're an entrepreneur, you're on your own. So when you retire, there's no money coming from the government, so you really have to set yourself up really ahead of time, so when you come to that point, you can easily retire and not be stranded, right? So entrepreneurs or people who are in the corporate world, there's tons of opportunity for us. We just need to make sure that we prepare ahead of time and set that up. And there's a process to doing that and achieving financial freedom.
Oh, and I love that. And we're gonna, before we dive into further into the different strategies, as I was preparing this episode, I was doing some research, and I came across a study actually that was conducted by the World Economic Forum on wealth equity across 99 countries. And the report found that women are at a disadvantage with regards to wealth accumulation over the span of their working life. So here, nothing new, right? That's
Yeah.
something that we already know. But here's where it becomes interesting. As women are underrepresented in higher paid positions, the amount they can direct towards savings and investment, and the corresponding earning based contributions to wealth, of course, is lower and lower than men. So what factors should we consider when making financial decisions?
Hmm. Very good point, and you're right. So no matter what your income status is right now, there's always a way to increase your income stream, right? And I always tell people that especially when you're younger, you still have the energy to create more, like multiple sources of income, right? So some of us are in the 9 to 5 corporate world, but after work, even myself, when I started working 9 to 5, because I was in a corporate world at first, I had something on the side. Or also when I was in the corporate world, they had opportunities within the company. So I took advantage of all of those things that they offered. For example, stock plans, right? Or contributing to your RRSP. Those are really important things. And that little bit of money that comes off of your paycheck, goes into different sources that are constantly growing. So maybe the first few months are difficult because you're getting a little bit less on your paycheck, but before you know it, a year has gone by and you have two sources that you have already invested that are growing as the time goes by, right?
Yes, and actually, as we talk about creating multiple sources of income, either you're working on a 9 to 5 and you start a side hustle, or maybe you want to work double shift. That's not what you are planning to do all your life, right? Or you could do that if you enjoy doing that. The idea here is really to set up the base for you to be able to start taking steps towards your financial goals. Now, as I was saying earlier, there is a gap in wealth accumulation, a gender gap in wealth accumulation. And some of the reasons that I didn't mention is, most of the part-time job are fulfilled by women, and low paid jobs also are fulfilled by women. So when your priority is to pay the bill, right? How can you balance short term, which is putting food on the table, and having a roof over your head, and long term financial goals?
Yes. So when we think about the side gig or the second source of income, we have to sort of open our minds to what else we can do because, with the pandemic, a lot of things opened up online. So a lot of businesses went online. So you don't even have to be physically present to some of the jobs or the income producing jobs that you can sort of take on, right? So you kind of have to work smarter, not harder. So some of the ladies that I know, they do their 9 to 5 job, but then they have a side gig that they're selling some kind of product that is sought after, and that's how they make the extra income, right? And some
Mm-hmm.
of these things you can set up so that the business doesn't really need you to be there all the time, and it kind of runs on its own. So there are different types of things that you can do. You don't have to spend 12 hours working physically, right? Because that can be really exhausting, and that could take a real toll on yourself, right?
And it does. And the approach is really, I do believe, to understand, and we're still talking about it. I think it comes more naturally for the younger generation, right? The millennials and Gen Z, to look at opportunities that they can create out of the internet without having to be working like 24/7 on it, and be able to create passive income. I just want to passive income, because when we talk about passive income, there is some upfront work and cost that you need to put in order to create passive income, right? But I feel like and I was talking with a high profile person working in politics. I was talking to her about the relationship between women and money, and she was telling me, even in Canada, uh, and I was surprised, actually. I didn't expect that. A lot of women don't even have a bank account, or they have a shared bank account, a common bank account with their spouse, but they are not aware of what's coming in and out, because they are not the ones handling the money, right? It's the spouse. And in those situations, the man of the family, like, handling the money.
The
So
money.
what would be the first steps, the first practical steps to take in order, to start maybe improving our understanding and our relationship with money, and in order to start making the small changes that need to happen, that won't have a big massive impact on your day-to-day life, but that, with the compound effect, can make a big impact down the line.
Yes. So first of all, like everything else, starts with your mindset, right? So I bring that up because we all have different backgrounds, and what you mentioned about ladies not even having their own bank account, it can be a cultural difference between us, right? So once you, I guess, you have that conversation and sort of set yourself up like that, maybe start with a different bank account or your own bank account, and maybe realizing that money is as they say, it's not the root of all evil, right? Because a lot of people have that mindset and it stops them from
Mhm.
succeeding, right? Money is great when you know what to use it for, and you use it for the greater good. And if your desire is to focus on your passion or focus on your family, this is what you look at and focus on, right? So once you have that goal in your mind, you start taking little steps. Prepare financially. For example, having your bank account, your own bank account, it's a great step, right? If you're in the corporate world, if they offer any of the incentives, take full 100% advantage of that. If you're not in a corporate setting, then you can still take advantage of having an RRSP. The contribution is once a year. You can also invest in GICs. A lot of people are investing in Bitcoin. So there are little things that you can do, and you can start putting money into it. Most important, wherever you're moving your money to, should be a compound interest account. So you can start with, you're getting paid, and maybe 10% of your income will automatically go into the savings account where it's a compound interest. This way, you don't get the money, you don't need to do anything with it. You can set it up at the bank so that they automatically transfer it every month. You don't see the money, you don't think about it, and it's just growing on the side. And this is one of the first things that I've done as well. After the corporate world, I just started putting my money aside so that it grows and I can have that down payment for my mortgage, right? And for my
Yeah.
property.
So here the goal for you, if I'm correct, the primary goal was to save money, ensure that there is a compound interest that would help you to get enough money as a down payment. So that was the primary goal, right? To have enough money, to accumulate enough money to have a down payment, which is the perfect transition actually to talk about real estate investment. um, I hear like many of us, everyone talking about real estate, everyone getting into real estate, and I see people, going from regular, how can I say, regular person, like regular day-to-day life to building wealth, regular paycheck to paycheck, I should say, lifestyle to building wealth, and have more freedom and more comfort. So tell us a little bit more about real estate. How do you approach real estate, and why do you think real estate can play such an important role in helping you building wealth?
Real estate is just my favorite avenue to build wealth, because, as you know, the real estate market in Toronto, Ontario, and even areas now are quickly growing. People are retiring, they want to move out of the city, and there are some young people who are growing up outside of Toronto. They want to come into the city. So there's a healthy kind of transition both ways, right? So um, so that's how you sort of gauge yourself where you want to be, and start prepping yourself early on. Keep your credit score clean, pay your bills on time. These things may be super simple for a lot of us, but once you don't pay attention, a little issue can make a big difference down the line, right? So you want to start setting yourself up and working towards that down payment. Now, first time buyers have the opportunity to put 5 or 10% down. So that's an easy transition to get into real estate. They also are a little bit easier on the first time buyers. The government also offers a credit on closing, right? So real estate, not only generally speaking, a lot of people are into real estate. 1 out of 4 citizens in Canada is actually an investor. So a
Oh.
lot of, yeah, that's a big number. And you can see that other people are taking advantage of the market turning. So of course, there's a natural sort of up and down in the market, but we know that Ontario always recovers.
Mhm.
Even in my past experiences in 2016, We also went through a big dip overnight. Real estate went down by like 20%. But within a year, not only we recovered that, but we came out a few percentages on top of that, right? So as long as you understand that, real estate is always a great way to create wealth for yourself. The market is there to support you because the Toronto real estate market always grows, even if there's a little bit of changes as we experienced the past couple of years, actually. But we're recovering nicely, and people can still make a very nice profit from purchasing a home for themselves and then taking some money out of their mortgage after maybe a couple of years, take that equity out of the home, and now you become an investor and you invest in your second property. So that's basically how a lot of people are doing it, not just buying and selling within a short period of time, right? Now it's a little bit of a long-term goal and a long-term game, if you will.
So when you say long term, and when you talk about equity and taking out some of the equity of the house to invest in another property, like how many years are we looking at here?
It depends on the market. Usually, within a year's time, the property has increased in value. This is given, of course, that you are in an area that is a fast-growing area. I'm not talking about, somewhere, a property that nobody wants. So we are talking Toronto and GTA. So within a year or two, now the prices not only are increasing, but because you're making your mortgage payments every month, you're accumulating that equity, right, in
Mhm,
your home. And then
mhm.
after, let's say, in 2 years, now your home is not worth $500,000. Now it's worth $700,000, right? So you have $200,000 that you can take out as an equity because you built that, right, by making payments and the market just going up, right? The market value of your property going up. And so now that $200,000 that you take out, you can put it as a down payment to an investment property.
So wow, that's very practical. I feel like it's a real estate investment one-on-one here. I hope you are taking notes, people, because this is very interesting, right on point. I see Sausan here who says, I love the topic. We love it too. Listen, we are
Yes.
learning how to make money. Seiful also says, wow, what a great show. And Ahmed says, financial freedom, I believe it's one's fulfillment on our own terms. And
On
that's
term.
very
That's
true.
right. That's right.
Exactly.
Well
So
said.
it's true that I feel like we live in a bubble in the sense that Toronto and the GTA and Ontario is very favorable when it comes to real estate. And now for the people who live outside Toronto and the GTA, let's say, but they are interested, like what are the key information they should look at in order to know if getting into real estate would be a smart financial decision for them?
I would say definitely give me a call. Let's have a chat. If you have a financial advisor, you can have a chat with your financial advisor as well, what makes sense for you. But definitely speak to an experienced real estate agent or professional who is not only buying and selling for clients, but also an investor themselves. Because
Mm-hmm.
when you start investing in real estate, it's a different kind of path, and you have to pay attention to different things. Now you're a business owner, right? You have to treat the property as a business, right? So
Mm.
it's a different kind of mindset there. But definitely, I highly, highly recommend getting into any type of property in Toronto or the GTA. We are doing fantastic. Toronto is in the top 5 cities of the world. We are growing so fast alongside with Mexico City, which
Wow.
brings up the idea that you don't just have to, the opportunity is there not just to invest in Canada, in Ontario, but now people are going abroad and investing in Mexico, Panama, Dominican Republic, wherever your heart and desire can take you. You can definitely set that up for yourself.
Yeah, and so for the people who want to learn more on how to create financial wealth, for the people who are interested in getting into real estate as a way to build and create wealth, how can they and where can they contact you?
Oh, I'm very easy to find. You can find me on social media. I'm on Facebook and Instagram, LinkedIn. You and I connect on LinkedIn a lot, Doreen.
Yes.
So, yeah, just reach out to me. I have a free 30-minute session that I can offer everybody. Call me. Let's have a conversation. No obligation, of course. I just want to get you into the mindset where you can make money for yourself and your family and live your passion.
Exactly. And you don't have to do it alone. And there is no bad or wrong questions. Like, the only bad move, and I want to say it out loud, that you can make is not asking questions and not asking questions to experts. I bring you some of the greatest leaders and entrepreneurs on this show, all Canadian women. So you see that, first of all, it is doable, it is achievable, but so also you can grow your network with like-minded people, smart people, doers, who are making a difference, who are walking the talk, and not just like portraying themselves as expert and gurus. No, they don't do that. Not the people in my network, at least. They are like real people who do care about supporting others, other women, but other people also. So take advantage of this opportunity. This is really, this simple call can make a big difference in your life. You never know. Worst case scenario, that would be like extra information for yourself, but that could change your life. And here again, we have Sausan who says, I'm on my way to financial freedom. Congratulations, Sausan. I started a side hustle, and that's my first step, and I recommend it so much. Exactly. Step by step, right? We talked about the compound effect when it comes to making money, but there is a compound effect also to the actions and the small steps that you take over a certain period of time. So that's all for us today. Thank you so much, Eszter. That was such an interesting conversation, for sharing so much with us and for showing us that it is possible. You can be an immigrant woman in this country and make it happen. You can be a woman in this country and make it happen. And this is one of the beauty of this country, Canada, where no matter who you are, as long as you decide to take action, you commit to it, and you surround yourself with the right people, you can make it happen. So thank you so much, Eszter, for your conversation today. Yes, and for those of you who are new to the podcast, or if you haven't done it yet, you can subscribe and listen to all the podcast episodes. You just have to scan the QR code here that you see, and I will see you next week, Wednesday, for another live episode on Stand Up from the Crowd. Thank you, everyone. You take care and you stay safe. Bye bye.
Bye.